Now they say imitation is the best form of flattery, but when it comes to artificial intelligence, mimicking your artwork and then selling it without your consent, that flattery quickly turns into full-blown rage. Can AI really steal your art? That's what we're exploring today. You may have seen some incredible pieces of art recently that make you wonder, is it possible that this was done by a human being, or is this something new entirely? I think you know where I'm going with this. The emergence of AI models that can generate mind-bogglingly beautiful, intricate, and impressive pieces of art has left us all in awe. You can literally type in any prompt and out pops a piece of art based off of that. It's almost like magic, except there's no magician, just a computer program, fed tons and tons of data that is able to produce seemingly original pieces of art. But here's where things get complicated. If these AI models learned how to paint, draw, and sculpt by dissecting and deconstructing existing pieces of art online, who owns the pieces that it produces? Is it the artist whose work the model was trained on? Or is it the person commissioning the piece? Or maybe it's nobody. Maybe it belongs to the ether. Here's what we know so far. There are currently 2 major cases working their way through the court systems that claim AI art is stealing from artists. One case is brought against Stability AI, the company behind Stable Diffusion, one of the most popular open-source AI models. And Midjourney, the AI art generator that rose to fame last year, it's beloved by many because it gives users the ability to take their prompts and turn them into detailed images with a painterly style that seems almost otherworldly. Its terms of service states that users retain ownership of the images they generate. But that is little. It's consolation to artists like Sarah Anderson, who saw her work used to train Stability's diffusion model without her consent. She's also concerned about the lack of attribution and control over how her work is used, and the potential economic impact of her work being used to train these models. And she's not alone. There are several other lawsuits making their way through the system at the moment. The Getty Images lawsuit claims that the training data for Stable Diffusion contained a significant number of images from its database, which it did not have permission to use. And that Stability failed to take reasonable steps to ensure that the training data did not contain Getty Images protected content. Now, Getty isn't looking for monetary damages. Instead, it wants stability to stop using its images and wants assurances that the model will be further trained only on non-copyrighted images. Now, in response to these lawsuits, Stability AI has said that it believes its actions are lawful and that it plans to defend itself vigorously. It's also argued that its model doesn't merely reproduce the training data, but instead learns from it to create something new. But the question is, what does learn from mean exactly? Because the answer to that could have huge ramifications for the future of AI art. For example, one argument that Stability AI and other companies have made is that their models do not reproduce any particular works, but rather they reimagine them. In other words, they create derivative works which are a different category of copyrighted work that are allowed under fair use. Derivative works are works based off of someone else's original work, such as a sequel or a remake or a song that samples another song. They are allowed under US copyright law, but they're not quite the same as the original work. However, if the derivative work is too close to the original, it may still fall under copyright protection. And this is something that the courts will likely need to decide as these cases progress. That's just one of the arguments that these companies are making. There are lots of legal gray areas around AI art. In fact, there is no clear legal precedent for any of this at all. We've never had to figure out how copyright law applies to artificially intelligent beings creating art before. So as these cases move forward, the courts will likely need to consider what it means to be an artist in the digital age. Traditionally, copyright law has been based on the idea that humans create original works of art. The word author even appears in the law. So can an AI really be an author? Or is the word too anthropocentric to apply to machines? Some argue that the originality requirement should apply to the process of creation as well as the final product. In other words, if an AI comes up with something original by using its own algorithms, then it should be considered the author of that work. Others disagree, saying that the originality requirement should be met if the output is similar enough to the input. For example, if a bunch of classical music is input and then AI produces a new piece that sounds a lot like it, then it should be considered a derivative work. Even within the courts, there are differing opinions. Judge Louis Kaplan, who is overseeing the Getty case, appeared skeptical of Stability AI's argument that the algorithm itself is protected speech, saying, "We don't protect processes, protect completed works." In contrast, Judge Beryl Howell, who is overseeing the Anderson case, seemed more sympathetic to the idea that the algorithm could be protected speech, saying, "I think we're in uncharted territory. This is a new medium." Ultimately, the outcome of these cases will set the standard for AI art going forward. If anything, they have highlighted the urgent need for a legal framework for AI art. Artists want to know that their work will be fairly compensated and credited. And they also want to make sure that their work isn't being used to train models that could potentially replace them. Licensing AI models to use copyrighted material would allow artists to receive payment for the use of their work. Opt-out mechanisms for datasets would give artists more control over how their work is used. These are just a couple of solutions that could help ensure that artists are fairly compensated for their work. It's also worth considering the impact that AI art is having on other industries that rely heavily on creative work, such as publishing and gaming. The rise of AI art generators has led to concerns about the potential for job displacement and the devaluation of creative work. Publishers are already feeling the squeeze of declining book sales and the rise of AI-generated text. And game developers are concerned about the impact of AI-generated art on the gaming industry. It's important to find a balance between protecting the rights of artists and allowing for innovation in the AI industry. This is an ongoing conversation that requires careful consideration and collaboration between stakeholders on both sides. Ideally, a solution can be found that allows for the responsible use of AI while still protecting the rights of those who create it. We don't yet know how exactly this will play out, but hopefully a solution can be reached that considers the needs of everyone involved. It's a bit early to tell whether the courts will side with human artists or with the AI companies, but hopefully a solution can be reached that works for everyone. As this technology continues to evolve, it's likely that copyright law will need to adapt as well. Perhaps we'll need to update our definition of art or even our definition of creativity itself. The rise of AI art has undoubtedly changed the way we think about art and creativity. Whether AI can truly steal your art depends on how you define originality, authorship, and creativity. And ultimately, it's up to us to decide what we value in the digital age. Now, I have one question for you. What do you think? Does an AI model that mimics your style of art and then sells the pieces that it creates count as stealing? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you like videos like this. I show new technologies, gadgets, software, tools, and anything else that might be interesting or useful to people who are into programming, web development, app development, or just tech in general. So if you're interested in seeing more videos like this one, stay tuned for more updates.